Right, good morning, good morning. Hope everybody's doing well. Gave y'all a little sample of that new Andre 3000. If you have not listened to it or heard about it, he has released music the first time in almost 20 years. And it's him playing his flute because he's a flutist. He's been a flutist apparently for a really long time. And it's pretty mellow. Like it's a real nice mellow sample of music. So I hope that y'all take a chance, listen to it. Apparently it's on YouTube already. And it's some good background music. I would say even in the classroom, with your students, instead of playing music that they possibly know the words to or can sing along with and have distraction, I would generally almost always play instrumental music when I was in the classroom. All right, so gonna give us a few more seconds before we officially get started. But good morning to everyone again. Let us know where you are from, what you teach, what you support, so we can make sure we frame this conversation to hit all the needs. I'm seeing that we got Cleveland, Charleston. So I found out recently how you're supposed to say South Carolina. Apparently it's like mushed together as one word, like South Carolina. Is that right? Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. um, what's that now?
South Carolina.
See, I don't have the flow yet. I'm gonna work on it. Cause I don't want to get out here and sound, like I don't know what I'm talking about.
No, it's just South Carolina.
All right, I see Bluffton and Ohio, Branchville. So it was a whole bunch of y'all from what do people call it, South Carolina? Or they call it
I was about to say the same thing. Is it something about? I mean, there's another one. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Did y'all have a conversation about this session?
So we should have just flew out and had this in person, is what I'm feeling.
I want to know, do y'all know each other?
Yeah.
Like, do all y'all in South Carolina know each other? Spartansburg, Orangeburg, no. Branchville, Bluffton. Shout out.
Yeah, y'all are here in full effect. Now, I will say, Shana, can you grab the link to the Slack? Because I forgot to ask you to do that.
Absolutely.
If you're not a part of our Slack group, the Slack group is our virtual community for the Black Affinity Group. We're always in there posting a lot of different things. If you're interested in learning about AI, we have several AI experts that are constantly keeping the conversation flowing about equitable AI, as well as closing like the CS gap and all these other things. It's like we always keep it moving in there. So please join the Slack if you're not already there. Like I said, let's go ahead and get started. If you aren't aware, you signed up to participate in the Black Affinity Group's Code Black hackathon. And I am going to be your facilitator, speaker, host, whatever you want to call it. My name is Crystal Chapman. I am a brown-skinned Black woman with brown eyes, a short-tapered haircut, cold-rimmed glasses, and today I'm wearing a black shirt that says "Digging on You," which is one of TLC's singles, because it wasn't an album name, was it? And then TLC's on the front. I'm feeling all, 90s R&B-ish in here. And I am one of the members of the Black Affinity Group steering committee, as is Shana. And so we are going to navigate this hackathon together. All right, so our agenda is super simple. We're going to talk a little bit about why hackathons. We're going to talk about the framework that we are recommending for use. We're going to review a couple of AI tools, and then we're going to get to work. So this first part is going to be as short as we can make it. I'm going to go super fast, hit the chat with questions if I'm going too fast, and then we're going to try to spend as much time as possible building and creating. All right, so why hackathons? Long story short, hackathon is another way to have students practice skills that lead to success professionally as well as in school in general. And the skills we generally focus on are the 21st century skills, which are creativity, critical thinking, collaboration, and communication. And so collaboration and communication are the two things that I often hear in my role as a supporter of teachers in my district, that students just kind of have a little bit of an issue with. Communication is not always kind or on topic. Collaboration sometimes looks like that one student leading everyone and everyone just kind of sits and watch, them work in amazement. So one thing that we can say about this strategy is it'll help kind of pull into where we have a little bit stronger communication, more voices heard, as well as collaboration will look like the majority of the group more so than just one or two people. All right, so challenge-based learning. See, I told you we're going fast. So challenge-based learning is a skills-based framework that's utilized at a nonprofit education organization called EdFarm. And so one of our CST Black Affinity Group members and Equity Fellows, Candace Monroe, is the director of learning there. So I snatched this from her. Well, I borrowed it from her. Y'all know educators, we borrow things. So we're going to talk through this framework because it's a really, really good one. And it's where a lot of potential for some of that super strong communication, collaboration, and critical thinking can happen with your students. So challenge-based learning is a little bit different from project-based learning. They have some similarities, as you can see. The things in black are where they're similar, the things in green are where they're different. So challenge-based learning gets you to that next level because it allows students to practice identifying issues in their community. We always want students that are, future thinkers and solution makers, but when do we actually give them the practice of those particular skills? So this helps with that. Student empowerment, we know student voice and choice is important. And then an intentional and purposeful use of technology. So it's not on the computer just because using the internet because it's there. It's an intentional use of the tools to get to solving whatever problem that the students themselves have identified. And then if you want to learn more about that, you can always scan this. I will drop the, I'll do it now actually, because I'll tell y'all I'm going to drop it and then I'll forget. So let me go ahead and do it now. So y'all can go ahead and have the slideshow. My bad, y'all. All right. So now you have the slideshow, but you can scan this later. And then so the framework, or the way that they've modified the framework over at EdFarm, is within 4 steps: engage, investigate, create, and act. And so I'm going to go quickly through what they are, even though I'm pretty sure they're going to sound familiar to you because they use familiar pedagogical practices. So the first is engage. This is the big idea, the hook, if you're familiar with Madeline Hunter. And so it kind of sets the stage for the investigation. It creates an authentic connection to the learning content. So it's how, we're pulling them in, right? Right. Investigate is the second. And so this is where the students explore, do a little research. This is where they're breaking down their guiding questions. They are trying to apply the learning and focusing on how they experience the said issue and how people in their community experience the issue and how they want to work about solving the issue. So this is where like the heavy lift, the heavy thinking happens in the investigate. And all of these QR codes go to resources that you can utilize. Create sounds like exactly what it is. This is the building part. This is also the part where iteration, meaning like improving on what's already been created, happens. And so this is a portion where students sometimes need a little bit of extra guidance, because once they create something the first time, they're excited. Oh, we're done. And let's go celebrate, right? But it's not necessarily done until we've had feedback, until we've had an opportunity to, test it and see if it works the way we want it to work. And then if it doesn't work, or we notice a way to improve, going back and making those improvements. So create, honestly, in the beginning, you saw the cyclical nature of this. That's pretty much where the cycle really starts to kick into gear. Because once we create something, we can go back to investigating and creating, or we can do all of these things in some sort of cyclical fashion again. And the last step is to act. So this is where we're sharing. We're talking about reflecting here. We're getting evaluations. We're doing feedbacks and things like that. So that is the framework. And in a moment, I'm going to show you guys this video sample of what a student decided to create when they had the opportunity to create an app. But I wanted to pause for a second to say hello to everyone that has joined, and a couple of new people have popped in. Welcome to the Black Affinity Group, code Black Hackathon. One thing I do want to make sure that I mention is this space is curated for Black educators, but it's open to everyone. And so another thing I just thought about too is the framework that we have for today is for you all to step into the students' shoes. I think that was mentioned in the description for the event. And so in a few moments, you will be the student and I will help you navigate in that way. And I want to say everyone should have a copy of, thank you, Shayna, because I sent a direct message and not a group message. Everyone should have a copy of the slides. The slides are available for you to use with your students, with other educators, however you see fit, all of that good stuff. And so let's go ahead and get to the example project video.
I have decided to dedicate my app to the National Memorial of Peace and Justice. This is my home screen, and over here is our story. Next, which is some of the more information that I decided to put, such as the artists involved, Hank Willis Thomas, Kwame Akoto Bafmo, Dana King. The location is 417 Caroline Street, Montgomery, Alabama. It's closed on Mondays and Tuesdays. This is the color palette of the memorial. These are some of the stories or hidden stories that I have decided to highlight. Hillard Brooks, Jr. Death, 1950. Hillard Brooks, Jr. was a 22-year-old Army veteran who was shot by a patrolling officer after refusing to move to the back of the bus. Four Little Girls, 1963. Four little girls, ages ranging from 11 to 14, were murdered after a member of the Ku Klux Klan bombed the 16th Street Baptist Church. The girls were Addie McCollins, 14, Denise McNair, 11, Carol Robertson, 14, and Cynthia Wesley, 14. The last life was Emmett Till, 1941 to 1955. Emmett Till was only 14 years old when he was lynched and killed in Mississippi after whistling at a white woman. These are all of the things that I've decided to put into my app.
All right, so just so you're aware, if you didn't see on the side, so these group of students were challenged with designing an app for a local civil rights location. And so this is what she decided, and this is how she decided to represent it with the random fact generator based on her research. So that's a potential topic for students, but this is one of the ways that you can have an outcome. This is one of the ways that how they look. There actually is, I forgot to add another video, but we'll talk about it in just a moment. So the next thing we're going to do is run through rather quickly a couple of different platforms that you can use as part of your development of your solution that we're going to do today. So everyone is excited and talking a lot about AI. So these tools are AI based, but it doesn't have to be an AI-based tool. You can use any tool that you desire, or require students to utilize any specific tool that you desire. It's just because AI is, a hot topic right now. I wanted to share a couple of resources. One thing I will say about the resources that we've chosen, they are easy to use. So it doesn't take a lot of prior knowledge, prior experience to go in and to get to working with these particular tools. So it should not be a point of stress or frustration for students. And then also it's easy enough for any educator to hop in, the day before, test it out, play with the tool, and then feel comfortable enough to guide students, as they go. All right, so the first one is through Canva. For those of you that are not familiar, Canva is a graphic design, digital design platform. It is web-based. They do offer I think it's still free, a free premium account for educators if you can prove that you are an educator. And so I've had the free premium account for years. And it gives you access to a lot of things. So all the things that you would imagine that you would be able to do with like Adobe Illustrator, a lot of those things, not everything, but a lot of those things you can do. With the premium account, you do have photo editing features. They have now incorporated, I want to say, video, and then I want to talk briefly about their AI tool, which is called, one of their AI tools, which is called Magic Media. So Magic Media is a tool that allows users to create an image using a text description. And so through my GIF here to the right, you can see the process. I go into the app and I think I typed in a robot playing the flute because I was thinking about the Andre 3000 album. And that's what happened. So it generated all of these images. I could even change the style to where I could generate a different type of image, or I can make it generate more images based on one that I like. So the tool is super straightforward. It's as straightforward as you typing in the description and getting the responses. With the premium educator account that I have, I get 500 searches or 500 search creations a month, which I think is a lot. It is a lot. They've also incorporated a video feature where you can generate videos, but it is not always available because a lot of people are using it at once. So the photos will get you there. So as you're developing and creating your solution and you want a specific image, you can go in and request that image. The tips that I have are just write descriptive prompts. Be as detailed as possible to make sure that you get the result that you're looking for. Second thing is be mindful that there may be errors when you're requesting human faces or hands. So we know that AI sometimes is not that great when it comes to human features, and it looks a little off. So just make sure that before you put something in your final project, and you can tell the same to your students, that you just check to make sure that, zoom in, see that the face looks like a face, or, the hands actually have less than like 20 fingers, because sometimes that often happens, or like they're in weird, uncomfortable positions. So keep that in mind. And then also regenerate using different styles for different aesthetics. And so that's what I modeled in here. So where the first time I did one style, the second time I did like an anime style, you can switch it up. It's a lot of cool things happening with that particular tool. All right, so the next tool we're going to talk about, chatbots. ChatGPT, everybody talks about it. Everybody's always excited about some of the things that you can do. Some educators are not so excited about the things that you can do. But ChatGPT specifically is the one that everyone talks about, but this kind of applies to all chatbots in general. They are really, really good for helping to rewrite, restructure, change the tone, change the formality of text that you're writing and creating. Also, it can help you generate ideas and think through a couple of things. So I would definitely recommend use of a chat bot. Over here, we have a chat bot prompt guide. So just like I was telling you before with Canva, those prompts are essential. The details are absolutely essential to get what you're looking for. The same thing happens with chatbots. And so if you click here, it'll bop you over here to this Google Doc where I made the cute little robots because it's a chat bot. I typed in chatbot into the Canva and this is what it gave me. But there are some examples of just prompts, ways to kind of frame your conversation to make sure that you are getting some of the things that you want. And then this is something you can also share with your students. Now, one thing to make note of, most chatbots, to include ChatGPT, I want to say Claude, maybe Bard as well, have an age minimum of 18 years old. So this could create kind of an issue if you're trying to use it in class, but I have a solution, don't worry. The big thing that I try to encourage when it comes to chatbot use is having students focus on the description they're giving, the input they're giving, the information they're providing to the chatbot to get the response. So it's almost like I'm sliding a little bit of, ELA into computer science class. And so what I would potentially recommend is you as the user, ask your students to create prompts. You could even limit their prompts to say, for this hackathon, you only have, 4 potential prompts that you can submit to me, and I'll pull the information down for you. And then so you can have it to where they submit their prompt to you. You can show them the prompt guide to make sure that their prompts are detailed, help them refine their prompts, have them think, carefully, make sure this is exactly what you want, because you have a limited number of, interactions with the chatbot. And you can pull the information down for them and send it to them. And then, And then unfortunately, if chatbots are blocked in your district, I don't have a solution for that outside of maybe you pulling them at home, but I don't know how districts may feel about that. So I want to keep us in the clear. But that is one way to give your students access to chatbots without having, a major issue with that. And so, but we are all adults here. Everyone here is over 18, so you feel free to use any chatbot that you desire. Please utilize this prompt guide to make sure that you can cut down on the time it takes for you to figure out how to get exactly what you want. All right, so the last one is a little it looks a little intimidating on the front end, but I promise it's super easy to use. Teachable Machine. So Teachable Machine is a platform that allows you to actually train a machine based on either images, sound, or poses by yourself. It works super fast. It is a Google product. And so we know with Google, it's super, the learning curve is not steep at all. All right, so I feel like it would be better if they tell you about how it works. So here is the video on Teachable Machine.
People are training computers and creating machine learning models to explore all kinds of new ideas. New ways to interact.
Yes.
To understand the world. To play and experiment. But machine learning is pretty intimidating to get into. So we've been wondering, what if it wasn't? With Teachable Machine, we set out to make it easier for anyone to create machine learning models without needing to write any machine learning code. When it first launched in 2017, it allowed everyone to get a feeling for what machine learning is all about. But now, Teachable Machine puts the power of machine learning in your hands, allowing you to save your models and use them in your own projects.
So let's say you want to build a model to recognize you versus your dog. You just open up the site, record samples of you and samples of your dog. Click Train, and you instantly have your own machine learning model, which you can use in your sites, apps, and more. You can upload your model to host it online, or download it to work entirely on device.
With Teachable Machine, you can create custom models for all sorts of things. Using images, audio, or even poses. Personalized machine learning models for the things that matter to you. And folks have already been trying it out, using Teachable Machine in their own experiments, solving problems in their communities, or even just at home. Start creating and see where your ideas take you at g.co/teachable machine.
All right, so that is from Google about Teachable Machine, but I also wanted to share with you a different model. Sure. Wanted to be able to share with you, I think it's going to show up. Maybe it's not. I'll share the link with y'all to this. So this particular model is going to allow you to, let's see, what was it? It was for identifying retina issues. And so this is what someone has used, which is pretty cool. And so I'll share that with you so you can look at it later, because that's not exactly what we got going on now. So let's go to this. So if you were trying to catch all of what they were saying in the video, here it is. This is the class, you train your model and you export. It's just that simple. It's super, super fast and super easy to use. And then the project options, like I mentioned, were image, audio, and a pose project. So if you want to test maybe someone's angle or position, that's how you use the pose project. The audio and the image are pretty much more straightforward. And then there we go. So before we get to the hackathon challenge, we're going to slow down and pause and ask if there are any questions about the model we're using or any of the tools that I've shared super quickly. And you can either come off mute or you can type them in the chat, whichever you prefer. Oh, so I guess I'm an excellent explainer. All right, well, go me then. All right, so yes, thank you. The tools are, I love the tools. And then once again, for those of you that may not have caught it earlier, the tools that we chose have super easy learning curves. So it's not going to be a high stress situation to where the kids are frustrated because they can't figure out how to make Canva work, because a lot of educators use Canva already, or they can't figure out how to make a teachable machine work. It's really straightforward on to use it, so we can focus on the solution creation more so than the tools that we're using. All right, so let's get to the challenge, because I know for those of you that have not skipped ahead into the slideshow, you're curious about what we're doing. All right, so once again, we're using the challenge-based learning framework. And so this framework focuses on students identifying issues in their community and then developing a solution based on something that is important to them that they want to either solve or lessen the effect of or improve upon or add to, right? Right. So this is the Communitech Challenge, Hacking for Local Impact. And so you're going to transform a city through the power of generative AI. So we're going to break you up into random teams. I think we have enough probably to do, how many people? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We can probably do 3 teams. 3 teams will be enough people. And so what you're going to do, when I assign you to your room, team 1 is going to focus on the city called Centralia. Crestwood and Cedar Springs will be the 3 towns. They are different. They have different demographics, different issues, different great things that are happening there. So you will work with your group to identify an issue. So that will be our engage part. We're trying to identify what's going on. We're going to investigate. And then during the investigate portion, we're going to focus on uncovering a challenge that you want to address. The create part is where you're going to build your solution. You could use AI through the chatbots to kind of frame your thinking and structure how you want to communicate, or you could use Canva for the image creation, or you could use Teachable Machine for something that requires multiple inputs to determine, this or that. And then the last part is where we're going to come back and we're going to share out. And then so that is how we're going to work it out. I will say before we get too tied up, I'm a person that loves to give resources. And so if you're interested in learning more about identity-centric learning and artificial intelligence, this is my running list right now, and I share it everywhere I go. A lot of great resources and tools here, activities for students, a heavy discussion on algorithmic bias, impacts of computing, instructional resources, which includes a lot of the challenge-based learning information that I've gone over super quickly. All of it is here. A lot of AI guidance and things like that. So this is just here for y'all to be able to access long after this time. All right, so let's see how long we are going to be able to go. So if it is 10:30 now, we're getting out of here at 12. Let's say, I know we'll have, an hour? Can we squeeze it in an hour, you think, Shayna? Hour and 10?
I'll say an hour.
Okay, we'll knock it out in an hour and then see what we have in an hour. So there will be the 3 breakout rooms. And we're going to drop you in. Of course, when you first get in, say hi, everyone, and smile and be sweet, and then immediately get to work because you only have an hour. And we know that hackathons sometimes are entire weekends. So let's go ahead and hop to it. Let me know if the links should be perfectly fine because I checked them. You can click on the name, team, or the city name, and it should take you to the same place. All right, and then okay, so wherever Miss Pamela gets dropped, that means y'all gotta hustle for some heavy communication to make sure that she's able to help out with the hackathon as well. All right, so we got an hour, and Shayna, if you open up the breakout rooms and send everybody.
Rooms are open.
All right, so go ahead and hop to it.
And it says the streets, highways, bridges, and metro systems are overloaded, causing long commutes, etc. And so we said with the AI solutions, we could control traffic signals and do other routes. So some of the benefits would be using AI to help traffic move faster and not be so congested. Our AI would include digital routes that will allow quicker travel for some travelers going one route and some receiving a different route if they're going into a different direction. We wasn't sure if we were headed into the right direction with this, but because of all the problems that this city had, we just keyed in on traffic congestion. So that was a quick slide deck that we created for our solution.
No, I think that is a great approach. Talking about traffic in that particular city, yes, traffic is a major issue. And I think I would have never thought to even do that. I don't know, maybe I hadn't sat and really considered, but I think that's a great solution, using generative AI, whatever vision capability, to help make decisions to say, hey, you should go this way and not that way. And we have some of that now with some apps, but I think making it more prominent, I think would help a lot, and really encouraging people to take those alternate routes, I think would be really cool. I love the idea. That was really, really good. That was really cool. And so it could have been any of the problems. The information did list a lot of problems for you to choose from to kind of help you orient yourself. And so it's however you choose to go with it, but that was great.
Right.
Absolutely.
We thought we would leave politics alone because that's a problem everywhere.
Yes, because that one did say there was corruption. There were major, because it's the nation's capital. Yeah. So in the imaginary nation world that we're talking about, it's the capital. Right. So it would have those types of issues. Absolutely.
Yeah. So we would leave that alone because we would be here all day trying to figure that out, even with artificial intelligence.
I know that is absolutely true. All right. Thank you. Thank you, team 1. Team 2, tell us about what you did or what you thought or how you felt.
So, and feel free to jump in. But we had our suburb of Crestwood. I'm going to go ahead and share screen. In Crestwood, there are not as many problems as in other places, but there are problems with transportation and there are problems with education, in addition to other things. So we had concluded that transportation was the hub of all of the issues, or at least most of the issues. Most everything could be solved through that. So using Claude.ai and using there's another Slides, whatever the Slides one is that's integrated into Slides, and also Duet that's integrated into Google Slides. Made some images and made some slides, and Claude also suggested that Mobility Magic should be the title. So, which, hey, Mobility Magic, that's pretty cool. And so it came up with the idea of conjuring the future of transportation in Crestwood. So there are a bunch of things that Claude suggested that AI could be useful for. And specifically, we honed in on the BRT solutions, the bus rapid transit solutions. And then, so this AI could create these visualizations and create new routes, project ridership, engage with the community. So the AI came up with a lot of really helpful suggestions, a lot of good stuff. And we just, I don't know, we tried to act kind of like students where it's like, all right, we get something from the AI, let's throw it right into the slideshow. And it works because at every level, there's a little bit of editing that happens. And so then we had the one idea about transportation. And so these 3 slides got generated from all the transportation stuff. And then for education piece, there was a separate set of potential solutions that generative AI could help out with, like business partnerships, finding the right place. I thought this image was hilarious, honestly. It's got nothing to do with schools, but that's what the AI thought would be really helpful. There's also a couch going on. Remember that couch? See if I can find it again. Because this couch was like
The couch.
oh yeah. Hold on. I think because there it is. Because I had cropped this image. But this thing, if I can uncrop it correctly, it does not look at all like an armchair. There's all sorts of like pillows just going in directions that do not exist in reality. It's perfect. So along the way, we discovered all sorts of limitations of AI as well. And then it came up with this nice little graphic for us at the end.
I like, it's interesting how transportation came up in y'all's group as well, because in team 1, transportation's crazy because it's just, a capital city and it's people coming in and coming out. The issue with transportation, if I recall, is that there's no public transportation, and that's an issue just for, for equity purposes. And what was my other thought? Noticing the issues with AI development, that's an entire conversation, week-long conversation with students. And I would encourage you all, as you decide to use these tools in your classroom, don't shy away from those discussions. Of course, it's funny because that couch did look quite strange. But as these things come up, we are able to see that as perfect as AI may be advertised to be, it's truly not that. And so we always, like you mentioned, need to be the last person or the last entity to look at something before it goes out public. And so what I mean by that is this: we can create, millions of different things using these types of tools, but you always, as the human, needs to be the last checkpoint, put your eyes on it, put your hands on it to make sure that it reflects what you want it to reflect. And that's something that I also encourage to students, to make sure that they're aware, of all of the limitations that AI has. So excellent. So you guys have mobility magic, which sounds like something you'd want.
Yeah, and at the same time, we noted at the end that there's no way we would have been able to put that much content together in that form without the assistance of AI. There was just, it doesn't matter how many people you have on your team, there's no way you would have been able to arrive at those decisions or come up with the many ideas.
Oh yeah, and it's I promise you, it's phenomenal and excellent for that. And what I would probably do is, this could probably be maybe the first part of a month-long assignment. So we're developing an idea, we're gonna pitch the idea maybe, and whoever gets the most votes will actually start to build the app or start to build whatever solution that was proposed through this process. This is another way, instructional wise, you can flip this process to where, I'm a believer in extending assignments to increase collaboration and communication and all those other important things, but also just give students time to work through and think through and bring all of their thoughts and experiences to the table. So this could be extended in that way. Just a thought. All right, team 3, what did y'all come up with?
We didn't have a spokesperson. I guess that's me. Um, but our city had several problems from transportation, a lot of growth in like housing was becoming an issue, um, especially in the low income community. Also with you know, wage gaps and concerns about education. So we kind of focus more on the educational side and of a, I would say, discussion via chat and through our verbal through speaking. We did not do any slides, but we had good bit of conversation about using maybe Chat GBT or Canva or something like that to come up with some sort of presentation. And we thought it was important to focus on education so there could be increased growth within the community. So we were looking at maybe finding ways to help the schools themselves become more efficient so that there was more time for actual engagement with students, personally, as far as our interactions with them. So we thought that like automating certain processes like, of course, grading and record keeping and things of that nature would allow us to spend more time, one-on-one with the engagement of students. And the one thing that we did point out was, you know, artificial intelligence and being more efficient and doing things more quickly, that would be great. But that could very well mean, we're getting rid of someone's job. So we talked about that aspect as well.
Oh, I like that. That is super cool. Utilizing this tool as a resource to kind of get back to that one-on-one engagement. An idea that I've had that I've shared, I think in a webinar at one point in time was, if you want to use AI to grade, I think it's a great idea. I'm still a firm believer in humans need to be in the loop. A human should be the last reviewer on the list before something goes public, right? But this is an option that I just wanted to share with everyone. What you could do is give whatever chatbot, whatever platform, the rubric for grading. Have the students submit the assignments or you put in the assignments, however you get the information to the chatbot. Have it provide some sort of grade, reflection, whatever. Give it back to the student and then have the student utilize that for a meeting, a one-on-one meeting with you. So instead of it being, oh, well, this is my final grade and, I'm possibly frustrated because the computer doesn't know what it's talking about or, all of those conversations. No, let's sit down and let's talk. So based on what, your work, where did you score yourself? What do you think that your, score should have been or grade should have been? This is what the computer is saying, and this is what I am saying. So let's have a conversation about how we got to this point. If there is a noted deficiency in one area, let's talk through ways that you can improve. Let's talk through how you're going to go back and correct this error, or let's talk through how maybe the machine was incorrect and it was a misinterpretation or a mistake because, computers aren't people. So I think that could open the door to that one-on-one communication. It also could open the door to metacognition, to where students really start to think about how they learn, how they understand, and how they present information, because we know that is needed for, especially in school in general, K-12 in general, but post-secondary, I've heard a lot of concerns that students are not able to, take the torch and lead their own education because they're not sure how to approach it. And so that could be a way that could be used. And I think those types of one-on-one conversations could be extremely powerful. So that's just an idea. Remix it, y'all. Fixing it and make it do what you need to do in your space with it. But yes, I love all of these ideas. I'm so excited that everyone was able to work through this process. I do have a question or two. Now that you've kind of gone through a quick run through of how it works, is the challenge-based learning structure something that you could see yourself utilizing in the classroom, or do you have questions about it? Because I do want to make sure I cover those in the last few minutes that we have left. So you guys are saying I'm the best instructor ever in life, and there are no questions at all. Nothing. I was able to take my brain and send it digitally to you. Okay, I'm seeing definitely can be used in class. Yes, I love the concept of having students choose an issue to address. I think it's spot on with what can really, really push students' skill building and acquisition. Yep. All right.